I'd never been in a relationship, I was spending hours on Tinder, and I was traveling alone. This is the story of how I started crushing dating within just 1 year. I was able to do this without having any prior experience. I didn't have friends who were actually good with women, and I was extremely shy back then. I want to share with you the exact journey that I went through to be able to crush dating and line up dates every single day with different women. Before I started traveling, I was actually paying an agency $400 just to set up a blind date. What sucks is that the women didn't even want a second date with me. So that was a really hard time for me, and it felt really depressing because I knew that I wanted a girl and I just couldn't seem to even get a date with someone when I was paying $400. As I started traveling, I knew I had to install all of the apps. So I installed Bumble, Tinder, and Hinge. What was weird is that I felt like I would be judged by my friends if they somehow saw my profile, and it just felt really weird inside just to install these apps. So after I installed them, I spent a few hours just debating which pictures to choose from to add to the apps, and I ended up picking a few that I wanted to upload. After a few days, I was able to match with a few women that I thought were really beautiful, but lo and behold, they didn't respond back. And so it was a really depressing time of life where I wasn't able to even have success on apps. But I took my entrepreneurial mindset. So I broke down the one area that I had to work on, and I worked on just one thing at a time. Since I had done entrepreneurship and e-commerce before, I knew that I had to take this by one step at a time. So I focused on just how do I text women in a way that would get them to text me back. I started saying the most outlandish things that I could in texts on Tinder just to see what they would respond back. And I did get blocked a few times because I went a little bit dark with my humor. And what I realized over time is that you have to tease and flirt and banter in a way that it's light and fun-hearted. It's never something that's really strong, and it's never something that's too much to the point where it actually offends them. So once I had figured that out, I would then bring them onto Instagram within just about a day, and I would continue that same banter and teasing there. I would spend about 3 to 7 days before I started actually asking for a date. Prior to that, I actually would foreshadow a date in advance with the girls that I was talking to on Instagram, and I found that that worked really well for me because it gave them an idea that I was taking this towards a date to begin with, but then I would continue just lightheartedly bantering. What I noticed for myself was that a lot of advice out there was like, don't text a lot, don't like keep texting and all that. But I realized for myself, like, I just enjoyed being really annoying, and I wanted to just spam them with texts, and I would just annoy them, and it would be really fun for me. And I don't know if it was fun for them, but I just wanted to be honest to who I was, and I found that that worked really well. And so the biggest epiphany that I had in that time was learning to just figure out what entertained me and massively do that while ignoring some of the advice. Now, there are certain principles that I think really matter when it comes to women in general that you still have to follow regardless, just as what I mentioned, right? Which is you can't really go to the dark humor side, and technically you could if you do it right and if it fits your personality exactly. But for me, it wasn't something that fit super well. It just didn't work out for me in the end. So after I got that down, I ended up just getting dates every single day lined up, and it was just a really cool experience. It was one of the funnest times of my life. But then I ran across the next thing, which is it just was really depressing to be able to meet so many women who I thought was beautiful. But then even then, I was looking for a wife and I couldn't find the right person for me. So that was a really hard journey to find the right person. And I dedicated this YouTube channel to also talk about relationships. And you can see that over here where I'll link other videos that I've done on that.